if you were doing a survey like say out there or whatever on the grass. On the left hand side here, so the tidal block, once we do it, is going to look sort of something like that. So there's obviously going to be some room on this side for some more. So part B is going to be another traverse going around. Okay, and that'll have, you know, there'll be roads and there'll be fences and chicken houses and goodness knows what else. So it's basically a farm as such. And then lastly, so that's part B, which you'll get next week. And then lastly, we're going to put some contours on this, and we're going to put a manhole and a manhole to manhole type stormwater situation, and we're going to do a long section along the length of the stormwater pipe, and that'll be basically part C. Now, I can tell you with this one that if you don't start doing your homework on time, that'll be for next week, that'll be for the week after, and that'll be for the final week. The final week isn't so bad, but you've got to hand in at the end of that week. So it'll start accumulating. It's not really one of those ones definitely not one you can do in the last weekend. Perhaps the last one was one you might have been able to do over the course of a weekend, but not this one, all right? So the idea is to watch what I do in class, because I will show you how to do these things, and there are also some instructions that are there as well. Always look at the instructions, don't just email Roger on a Sunday night and say, oh, what layer are we supposed to call this, or how high is the text height for this? It'll all be there, it'll all be in the instructions somewhere. There'll be a marking sheet as well there, so you'll be able to work out where you get your most marks, etc. And we will get some feedback to you on the last assignment, because there's one or two things that a lot of you want to try and improve on this one. But this is meters drawings, whereas the other one was millimeter drawings. But there are some improvements you can still make or learn from on the last one. I'll bring this up shortly, but the other thing is that if you look at part A today, that's roughly what you're going to be having to draw in an hour in the test. So that's the sort of speed you need to be at in about 4 or 5 weeks' time. And you can't get better at it than actually practicing at it. So what we do is we release, and we'll release them next week, some practice tests, so you get a bit of an idea of how you can do these things quicker and quicker. Did you remember doing that in your practice tests? Yep, you've practiced them, and when you hit the real one, you've sort of got to go pretty quickly. It's very hard to get 100% in the test, but it is possible. Most of the past students got very close to 100 in their test. But when you see what you sort of have to draw today, you'll get a bit of a shock as to where you need to be at. So this time around, the test kind of picks up people that have been going very slowly along, drawing these things. Maybe look at a text, oh yeah, it's cool, what's happening this weekend, oh yeah, go a bit more CAD work, do a maths assignment, oh, that's my friend again, another text sort of thing. And your drawing's been open for perhaps hundreds of hours, but you've only been actually working on it for X amount of time. Well, this is kind of like putting the horse blinkers on and really getting stuck into what you're doing. It's also, the reason why we came up with this test is that I came directly here from industry, and I guess what happens with industry is you're put under this sort of stress every day. Not once a semester every day. And the boss will say, here's the work, boom. Let me know at 3 o'clock if you're going to finish it. And you know, the first few days they might put someone else to help you finish it. Then after that, they're expecting you to hit those deadlines, and this is a really good excuse. Friday, for some reason, is when everybody seems to want drawings, and for some reason, everybody's back working quite late on a Friday to try and finish them. I didn't like working late on the Fridays. To me, that was sort of my weekend, so I used to tell my team, who wants to work late on a Thursday, so we used to work quite late on a Thursday to make sure we didn't have any Friday problems. So by about 4 o'clock we had a beer in our hand upstairs, where there was always 3 beers on Fridays, and we're always home by 5, but we worked quite hard on a Thursday, sometimes to midnight, to get these things out the door. So you do get used to working not just fast, but working fast and getting it right as well. Some of you may not want a career in drawing, and that's fine. You won't be able to avoid it. If you're out there telling the truck drivers what to do, and transit, and the working and the safety, and you're actually building stuff, there's nothing wrong with that as a career. But you will be receiving drawings, and these days they don't come as a piece of paper, they come digitally to your inbox. So you need to know to open them, to go in, to zoom, maybe do a measurement, all that sort of thing. So it's not like you can completely say, oh, I got a C- with Roger and CAD, I passed it, that'll do me, I don't need to look at that for the rest of my life. A wee bit like surveying, you know, you might be pretty crap at that, but at some point someone in the office is going to go, there's the survey equipment, go and do a survey, and you're like, whoa, hold on, that was my worst subject, what do I do? You know, where's Mrs. Google? So there are things that you can't avoid, all right? And this is one of them, whether you like it or not. Surveying is another one, and there's 2 or 3 other ones too, including some of the maths ones as well, which you end up having to do, even though you don't want to do it. So what I'm going to do today, I'll show you this, talk a little bit more about the test. Because I'm not sure where everybody's at, what I'll do is I'll do the first few lines on this, and show you how we get started with our little circle, wherever it is we need to start from. Ingrid's given me another idea in terms of the circle. This time we'll make it, say, 2 meters in diameter, which will put it about the right size to start drawing our drawing from. Last time I just said click on the screen, we've got a massive circle. This time we'll do it closer to where we need to start from. So I'll do that. I'll go over the first 2 bearings that you have to do on your assignment. One of them is going to be a back bearing. Remember what we talked about last week? You've probably forgotten about the surveyor not being on the road, because that's a bit of a dangerous place for the surveyor to set up the tripod. So instead of doing it that way, we did the shot that way, 180 degrees difference. And often that gets reflected on here. So you just got to try and remember where you started from, and you may have to move your first line so it's back like that, or up like that, depending on the back bearing. So we'll do that, and then I'm going to show you one that's come out of the oven or baked. It'll have the traverse on it and everything, a few notes, and from there I'm going to start placing some of these things on, because some of them have been placed by coordinates, some are being placed by offsetting lines. All right, you'll find that with quite a bit of this stuff, so, and in the test as well. So we'll go through that. We'll see how far we get through that today. All right. So probably an hour of me demoing and yabbering away, and then possibly just under that for you to have a go yourself. If you have not done your homework and you're sitting there in front of a line, at least you'll get the first couple of lines of the assignment drawn for you as well. If I get time, I'll show you how to set up your viewport again, because I think that was also covered a little bit quickly last week. You know how you do your print and then you set the XP factor. We'll do that again as well, okay? Anyone filming, brilliant idea. At least you can go back and have a look over it. And all I ask about the filming now is it doesn't end up as some silly video on YouTube or something like that, okay? Otherwise I'll just stop filming in my class. So amongst yourself, do whatever you want. As long as you pass the course, I don't really care. But nothing stupid on YouTube. And I do say a few stupid things too, so be careful. Okay, I'll be set up in about 5 minutes. So carry on with your last week's work, or if you haven't done any, if you've done last week's work, it's fine. You can fill your thumbs, have a look at YouTube, or do another assignment. Up to you. And just a reminder, 3 weeks is what we normally take to finish our marking and get results and feedback back to students. Folks, if anyone wants a hand with what they're drawing, just put their hand up and pass it and I'll help you. Seems to be particularly slow today. Are you taking a while to log in yourselves? Or is it just this computer? There you go. Good. Let's come up.
think it's you. I put it in the problem, but I don't see it. It's just in the place.
You can check it from August.
You can't see the stuff
It's
that's
the
not.
same. 21st of August. 21st of August. 21st of August. It's still July. So next week. At all. Yeah, same.
Okay, so if you're going to Moodle, and on the under the assessments, which is the second or third batch of bits and pieces, I've just gone the wrong one. So under the assessments, you'll see Part A instructions. So let's have a look at that. Here's the actual, what you're going to be drawing for Part A. So just like I said, it's off to one side of the drawing. There's your title block there. You know how to do a traverse because I went over that last week, but what I'm also going to do this week is, and you'll also know how to do a, from last week you'll know how to do this traverse box with the points, the northern and the eastern. And you'll know that when you do a P line and you close it, you end up with an area, you know how to do that as well. I showed you how to do the M squared. We right clicked on it, we got the squared button. So apart from that, what don't we know here how to do? We don't know how to do these offsets to do the horse and stable area, or the concrete path, the shed area, or the farmhouse. We don't know how to do these shrubs exactly evenly apart, but I can give you a clue on that. We're going to use the divide command like we did with the millimetre drawing. Also, we don't know how to find or locate this horse trough, the centre of it. I'll show you how to do that. And the same with the old oak tree. So how wide is this road? There's a 6 metre wide road here, and this one is only a 5 metre wide road. So don't make the mistake of thinking that they're both the same width. So what have I got in terms of drawings? I've got this one here. Oh, hold on, that's assignment 1. You don't want assignment 1, of course. What have I got? We've got the cycleway here, which is the traverse only. Okay, so that's just doing the traverse and putting some writing on it, which would be what you would normally start with. So I'm going to go over F1 to F2 and F2 to F3. I'm going to start from scratch on a normal blank screen. Then I'm going to pull up this drawing, which obviously has it all on there, and I'm going to show you how to do some of the things that I've pulled up before. For example, where's it gone? I'll show you how to do the roads and the plum trees, the horse stables, concrete path, the shed, the farmhouse, the oak tree, and the horse trough. When I've done that, if we've got a wee bit of time left, I'll show you how to do the set up the viewport, the XP factor, and then I'll leave it over to you because that'll be your homework to finish by next week. Like you can see, there's quite a bit there. That is approximately what you'll have to draw in 1 hour for the test in about 4 weeks' time. Okay? So this is where we kind of catch out the, hey bro, can I borrow your assignment? And I'll give you my maths one. That kind of doesn't work very well when it gets to test time. The test is worth 40% of your drawing mark. It's pretty hard to get 50% if you're sitting staring at a blank screen for an hour for the test. I'm going to help you a little bit more today by showing you how to do some of this stuff. Next week we're going to be drawing something over here, so when we put this in our viewport, we need it as far to the right hand side as we can, leaving enough room for this little chart over here. Alright, so without further ado, I'll just do my ACAD thing. And I'll start a new drawing. So for those of you with a computer at home, you won't need to do this, of course. Import the file from wherever you've got it saved. In my case, I've saved it under somewhere downloads, I think. Here it is. I go apply and close, set current, and okay, you see everything's coming down the bottom. I don't want this up the top here, so I'll unlock that. And I do want my commands up the top because I'll be using them. So on the down arrow here, I'm going to show you. Alright. So I'm going to go File, I'm going to go New. Where is it? File, New, and ACAD, and go Open. I'll drop this down here because I normally like to have my bar along the bottom. I'll take off the grid. I noticed somebody with their hand in had their grid still showing. I'll show you how to get rid of that. What that person had done, I'll show that person exactly what they did. The grid was on like that. They went into layout space when they shouldn't have. The grid was still there, all right? They then went back into model and they turned the grid off, but unfortunately it's still in layout space, right? To get rid of it, you've got to go into the viewport and then turn it off, all right? Now, I don't know who that was. I'm sorry, I don't know you by your name or anything, but please don't do that again in this one. If any of you have the same problem, either with assignment 3 or the test, I'll just do that again. What the person did was they had the grid on, they went into one of these here, and the grid was still on, okay? They went back into model and they turned the grid off and thought, oh, that's good, that's got rid of it, but it didn't get rid of it. It was still there. To get rid of it, they have to go into their viewport and then turn the grid off. All right, so don't let that be you. That's what I'm saying. The other thing that a lot of you didn't do was take note of what I said about the layout down the bottom here. See down the very bottom, you've got the layout 1 and layout 2. If you right click on that, you can rename that anything you like, but it needs to be to do with the drawing. So in this case, cycleway would be a good one, wouldn't it? Cycleway. The last one probably should have been cycleway and retaining wall. But I actually let people away with just calling it cycleway on the last one. The other thing that you need to do is delete the other layout. Can anybody for half a mark tell me why you should delete the one you're not using? The chance to get the half mark back you lost, because I definitely took half a mark off whoever left the layout on. The reason is you're handing this drawing over to me, but normally you would be handing it to a client. Now, one would expect if the client had any brains, they probably would open layout 1 first and go, oh, layout 1, beautiful drawing, and forget about layout 2. But if there is a layout 2 there, you can be sure as anything they'll probably be nosy enough to click on it. Now, what happens if they print that? Or what happens if there's 2 identical layouts and they don't know which one's the right one? They print both of them, and one of them's got the scale wrong. Alright? What we often do with drawings is we have like up to 10, 20 layouts, because you can right click on them, copy them and make a new layout. So often with drawings we have multiple layouts showing different parts of the model space, what's in the black space. Why do we do that? That's because in engineering we often do details. You can't do a drawing of a building like this without showing how it's constructed. You know, is it bolted? Is it welded? Is it riveted? Where are the joins? How does it fit together? And all that sort of information. To do that, you need a blow up of that area, very big on the screen. And so often we have a big drawing overall and blow-ups of the details. So each one of those blow-ups is often in a layout tab. Alright? So next time when you do the drawing, delete layout 2 and only have layout 1. Now some of you may completely stuff up layout 1. Don't worry. Use layout 2. Go back to that and get that perfect. And delete layout 1. As long as you've renamed layout 2 a different, whatever the name, it doesn't matter. So that's why the 2 are there originally. If you want to make another one, right click, move or copy, create a copy, and okay, I've now got one called layout 2 with a comma, with the, in brackets 3. I've got layout 1 and I've got layout 2. So you can keep building your layouts along the bottom. Once again, the ones you're not using, delete them. Okay. So enough of that. Let's go in here and let's try and start off our drawing, which is our first line. Alright? Now I'm going to do this the way that Ingrid's been telling her class, which is by using the circle method. So I'm going to draw a circle, this little circle here at the beginning called F1. See that? I'm going to draw a line from F1. I'm going to draw a circle at F1. Now to do that, I've got to go to the circle command up the top. There it is. Now, as I bring my cursor onto the screen, I do not click. Every year at Unitec, out of about 20 students, we have at least 2 what I call recidivist clickers. They would never have lasted 5 minutes in the Wild West with their guns, because within seconds they would have shot themselves in the foot. Alright? Take your hand off your, no, I'm not going to say gun, because I come from West Auckland, that's a bit of a silly thing to say. You're from West Auckland too, are you? Yeah, I never yell out gun in the main street. Okay, so the first thing that I do I can just see you now reviewing me. Good teacher, but talk too much about guns and wisdom. Okay, all right, get back to where we were. We're going to take a hand off the mouse and we're going to do a circle. So we click on the circle and come down the bottom here and click in the blank space down the bottom. Right. Now it's always easting first, so we go 505.771.744, comma. Now I can do the northern 723.887.772, and now I go enter, and it's asking for a diameter, radius of the circle, and I'm just going to go 2 and enter. Now I can't see the circle. We can go back to what I was saying last week. It's the shot fired has gone. It's actually in Massey now, I think, and we're down in where I come from, New Lynn. Nice, safe hanging out. So the circles in Massey and down in New Lynn is on the screen. I'm now going to go Z, enter, E, enter, and there we are, we're in New Lynn. Zooming in on someone's window, and go. Okay, so there's the circle, there's the start point. Yeah, if he tries to tell you I'm talking about guns and gangs and stuff, it's all wrong. While you're away, I would never do that. So here's your circle, right? And we're going to start from that point. So I'm going back over to this drawing here, and we can see that it's 355 degrees, 38 minutes, 10.8 seconds, and it's 120.157 meters away. So if you remember from last week what to do, that's great. If you don't, I'll show you. We're going to do a line. Now we need the center of the circle. So down here we're going to go, click down, and we're going to go center. Okay, and so we're going to do a line from the, now you'll see it come up in a minute. There it is. From there, now we can't actually dictate the exact distance and length without coming down the bottom here. So we're going to go at the at symbol 120.157 and little angle 355D, the diameter 38 single speech marks, 10.8 double speech marks, enter, enter. So we've drawn a line from there to there, which doesn't look right, does it? So we can see straight away that we've got a back bearing and not a fore bearing. Can you see that? The circle represents, I'll just put that back here. The circle represents F1. We should have gone that way, but we went the other way, which means it was a back bearing. So here we are in our assignment. The very first one is a back bearing. So I'm going to move that, and you've got to be real careful about how you do this. Enter from the end point to the end point. And that is my first line of F1 to F2. I'll do one more line for you because I'm in a generous mood. It's in a bit of a funny mood. I'm not quite sure why I started talking about West Auckland, but never mind. We're going to do this line here to F3. So we're going to go to the line command up here. Click on that. Come down the bottom. And we're going to go at 65.253 less than 66D, 7 minutes, 8.4 double speech marks. Enter, enter. And that line looks like it's gone the right way. So there's the first 2 lines of our traverse. Hopefully you were filming that and you picked that up. And you are now capable of continuing around there and drawing this. So we drew that line there from F1 to F2 and then to F3. Now on my drawing, just because I did a 2 meter diameter or radius circle, doesn't mean that was the right size. You've got to look at the instructions. Where are the instructions? The instructions are on Moodle. Here they are for the assignment. So you've got till Sunday, May noon. For those that don't know what noon is, it's in between sun up and sun down, right in the middle. All right. It's a wee way away, but it will start creeping up on you. So I'm not quite sure what this is asking me for my email address and all the rest. So once again, we've got 2 dimensions which are from your student IDs, okay? So you'll need to calculate those dimensions B and dimensions A from the last 2 numbers on your student ID, just like you did for the last assignment. We're also telling you the setup here for dimension styles, the offsets and everything else. Make sure you do those things correctly. And the plot as well as indicated. The plot will be to a, not sure which one it is. It's at the bottom. A1, so it's an A1 plot, and the scale is 1 to 500, so we'll do that in a minute. Put that back over here. Okay, so for some reason I've got my construction as pink. I'm not sure why. It's a bit of a weird colour. Okay, right, so I've got my my layout here, and I've drawn over the top with a P line, which is that line there, right? Now it's very important that you draw in the correct order, right the way around. So if I list that P line, L-A-S-T, and click on it, I get all these numbers here, which are my coordinates of each point. So if I right click, if I go Control C, I can put them into a text box. And there they are there, which is exactly what I've done to the side. And you'll notice when I list this, there's more important information also, which is the area. Now that's in meters squared. So that'll be 20,696.58 meters squared. All right. So, before I start anything else, what I would like to do is I'd like to get this into a viewport. So I'm going to click on Layout 1, and as you can see, it's already in the viewport. So that's kind of handy, right? Maybe it wasn't in the viewport, it was kind of out of the road. So what I would do is I go inside the viewport and go Z, enter, E, enter, right? But let's say it still didn't come up. And the reason for that normally is that somebody has done a bullet hole over there in Massey and you're still in New Lynn, right? And so when you come over here into layout and you click inside and go Z, enter, E, enter, you can't see anything. You've got something's happening over here, and there's the little, oh sorry, no, it's a circle. And so what we have to do if that happens is we need to go into model and roll back and work out which one's the circle, erase it, and go Z, enter, E, enter, go back into the layout and go Z, enter, E, enter. Now these are all things that can happen in your test. There's nothing worse than being in the test going Z, enter, E, enter, and nothing's happening. You can't see anything. And of course, the first thing you blame is the teacher. Yep, that's right. The next thing you blame your computer, when really the problem is between the seat and the keyboard. And that's where you need to go back into model space, find what you've done wrong, which is normally accidentally put a line or a circle or something miles away, absolutely miles away down. Get it, delete it, and everything will come right again. Now, we are doing an A1 plot this time. Last time it was an A3 plot. So I'm going to go out of my viewport and I'm going to go up the top and go File, Plot. Continue to a single sheet plot. And let's see if we can find the right one. So we're going to go Drawing to PCP, to PDF, sorry, this one. We're going to go full bleed A. Oh, we don't have full bleed A1. Here it is. Full bleed A1. The big number first, which is 841. Click on that. Now keep checking, this is really important, especially in the test, that these two number ones are here. Alright? Those number ones are really important. Okay, and you've got your two number ones. So you've got your A1 set up here, you've got your drawing to PDF, and now all you need to do now is exactly what I did on my wedding night, which is fake it, and go apply to layout, and then go cancel, okay? And look what's happened. There we are. It's gone down in size, perfect. So now I'm going to stretch out the viewport. Oh, by the way, when I say full bleed, because quite a few of you didn't do full bleed in your last assignment, you'll get these little tiny dots right out by the edge of the drawing, which means that you can print anywhere inside there and it'll come up on the printer, right? Or the PDF. Whether you're printing to a printer like this thing, or whether you're printing to a PDF to pass on to somebody. If you go outside of those lines, it won't print. But a full bleed is really good because look how far out it lets you be. Alright? So that's what I mean by full bleed. Now, you see I've set it up now for an A1. You probably thought it was already set up for an A1, but it's not. It's quite a long way away, isn't it? So a lot of students make the mistake of just going inside the very first view they look at and doing the XP factor, and everything goes whoop and it's gone. I'll prove that in a minute. I'll show you what I'm talking about. You always do the plot first, then the XP second. So I've done the plot now, and when I say, I think that's a Beyonce song, isn't it? Fake it till you make it, something like that. When I say fake it, I mean you go file, plot, continue, and you click on this apply to layout, but instead of going OK, you go cancel, which means it still goes to the print size, but you don't actually go through with printing to a PDF. Because sometimes you don't really want to print a PDF, especially that, it's only going to come out the same size as your thumb on a piece of paper. So you see what I'm getting at there? You just fake it and then you get out of it. So if I stretch this out now, notice I'm staying inside the parameters of those little dashes that are on the side of the sheet. Right. Now, I always get my drawing in the middle, first up, and now I'm going to do my XP factor. So the scale is 1 to 500. So the XP factor is going to be inside the viewport. So that's the first thing, inside the viewport. And then I'm going to go zoom. You can just press Z if you want to. Zoom, zoom, enter. 1000 / 500 XP. Enter. Now, if that scale was 250, you would do 1000 to 250, right? Now, I know there's some really incredibly good maths people in this class who are wanting to be engineers. What's 1000 divided by 500? You did right. You've got the right amount of fingers as well. 2. So we can just go 2 XP. But I wanted to show you, I want you to get used to doing that because you're going to think everything's 2 XP or 1 XP, right? Lucky it's not 1000 by 1000, then it would be 1 XP, wouldn't it? So we're going to do it on the screen. Z enter 1000 / 500 XP enter. Woof, right? Now, if we go up to the hand of Maradona with our left mouse, pull it down. This is where I want you to put it over to the right hand side. So if you've just done the traverse, make sure you're leaving enough gap because we're going to have another one of these tables below it. And you're going to have to do a bit of shunting next week because you would have drawn the second traverse and it's going to make it a little bit harder for you. Now if I go escape on that and click outside, that is going to be the perfect viewport. If I click on it and go list, it should say 2.0000 XB. And that's how I find out if you have been using the hand of Maradona correctly. And that's how you can lose marks very easily. Now let's do the other thing that I showed you. This is what students often do. They go into the viewport like this, they don't do the plot first, and they click inside and go Z enter 1000/500 XP, and their drawing disappears or goes really big like that. Right? And then they'll do it again. Z enter 1000/500 XP. Enter. And they'll sit in their test doing that for about half an hour while the rest of the class is drawing flat out, trying to finish everything they've drawn. Because they didn't do the plot file first. Right? That page size there is actually, it's supposed to be it's actually only A4 size. So it's 1/8 of the size that it's supposed to be. So don't be that person that's trying to set up the viewport scale and they haven't done the plot first. Okay? So what would you like me to cover now? I've covered how to put the viewport on. Here's the assignment here. What should we do? Let's do the road. Okay? Now the students that draw a line from, actually I might make absolutely everything white. Sorry, I don't normally do this, but it's a lot easier for you to see it if I make it all white. Okay, now F9 is the point we've got to find. So the way to do that is no different than when you first started off with reverse. Let's go into model. I'm going to erase that circle. And I'm going to do a line this time. I'm going to do a line from, so I click on the line command, come down here and I'll type in the coordinates of F9, which are 505.5763.060, comma 723. 965.986. Enter. I've done something wrong. Can you not see what I've done wrong with those numbers? 505. Oh yeah, I've done it one too many. I'll start again. Actually, it's starting to annoy me, the bubble and squeak that's hanging around. I'm going to go to the snap settings and take that off there. Okay. So I'm going to go to the line command and I'm going to type in here 505.763.060, comma 723.965.986. Enter. Now we've got the point in the right place. So I'll just click over here somewhere and I'm going to copy the circles that I've used on the rest of the traverse from the centre line of that to there. Okay, and I'm going to now make a layer up. Do we have a road centre line? We do. So here's the road centre line. And I'm going to draw a line from here to the centre of F9 and over to F8. Okay, believe it or not, that is going to be the right line type. We should have a line type here. For that we don't. So let's change that. Remember how we bring the line types in? We go load. Never, ever, ever use an ACAD centre line. Never, 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 never. Go right past them and go to centre. And go OK. Centre. And OK. Alright. So you can see the centre line there now is starting to appear. But I don't want you to start adjusting the LT scale just yet. We now have another centre line to put in from that point there to that point there. And now we're going to use our offset command, which is over here. Click on it, and we're going to offset by 3. That way and that way. Enter. So we offset. Now, we don't. If we're using the same command, we don't have to click on it a second time, because if we go enter, it invokes the same command. And if you look down there, it's already on 3, so that top row should be on 2.5. So we'll go 2.5. Click there, click above it, click there, click below it, click there, click above it, click there, click below it. Okay. Now for those that have turned up today, I'm going to show you something quite special on how you get top marks on your assignment. For those that are falling asleep, make sure you are actually filming this. Alright. First of all, we don't want all these lines as centre lines. So these lines on the outside, clicking on them all, we need to change them to the row, just rows, right? Secondly, we need to do a bit of trimming. Over here, trim that off, that off, that off, that off. Over here, trim that off. Now what's going on here? We've got two lines there. Okay. Well, there's many ways to do this. One way to do it is to turn the centre line into a P line. So you go P edit, like we did the other day, P edit, click on that, click on the centre line, and Y for yes, and go J for join, and join that and that, enter. So that's one big long centre line. Erase the top line, top 2 lines, and go offset again, and this time it'll be 2.5. Click on here, click above. Now I want you to click on the rows and change that to the row. We've still got a bit of a trouble here. We need to extend this line to there. We need to trim that one. So what do we have to do over here? We need to extend both of those. So let's go to extend, which is this one. Click on it and click on there, and it will extend to the right. Another one on the other side. Enter. Now we're going to trim that off. Wonderful. Still got 2 more to trim. Go to trim and trim those off. 1, 2. Alright, so that's the road done. Now I'm going to draw I hope you're all opening up this drawing on one of your screens. It's on Moodle at the moment under assessment. Okay, I'm going to draw the I'm going to draw a line from the old oak tree to the very first coordinate there and the last coordinate. And I'll show you exactly how we're going to do that. So, might be a bad time to do a save as well. We don't want to be drawing all this again. So go up here and go File, Save. Okay. Now we're going to do a line from the old oak tree. So I'm going to do a line from the coordinate of the old oak tree, which is, we don't have it, or do we? Can anyone see the coordinate of the old oak tree? It is actually there. It's actually written on the table. You see that? So if I do a line, come down the bottom. Now I've got to get this right. I can't do that first one first, because the first one's a northing. So make sure you do the 505 one first. 505 926.222, comma. Oops, that was wrong. 505 690.983, comma 723 926.222. Enter. So that's the first line. Now up here somewhere is the second line. I'm not going to be a recitative clicker on my mouse. I'm just going to straight away type in the coordinate 505 755.726, comma 723 991.680. Enter. And then the next one is further up. And that's 505 751.662, comma 724 028.275. All right, so the old oak tree's over here. The beginning of my plum trees is there. The end of my plum trees is up there. All right. So we're going to do the old oak tree. The old oak tree is 8 meters in diameter. So we'll do a circle. We're going to click on here, and we're going to type, well, the radius will be 4 enter. Now we're going to do a line from here straight up. And now we're going to type in let me see how we're going to do this. I think the way to do it would be, there's 8 of them, so Can anyone remember the command we did on the clock? What command did we do on the clock?
Classic.
Can you remember? And it drew the.
Array
What was that again?
classic.
Array. Very good. Okay. You have just earned yourself a half a mark, but you do need to email me, all right? And it's not on assignment 2. It's assignment 3.
Midnight.
Yep, midnight's the cutoff. Yeah, I'll be waiting in my pajamas. Okay. Actually, somebody else he didn't email me, I think. Missed out. Anyway, it is definitely called Array, A-R-R-A-Y, and you click on Array Classic. The box comes up, we're going to go to Polar, and there's going to be how many of them? 8. And the center point is going to be there, and the object is going to be that one. And we're going to go enter, and there they are, right the way around, and okay, done. Now, there is something around that oak tree that is in the circle, so we're going to erase the circle, and we're going to do a cloud, which is this one here. Now, when you come down the cloud, there is a requirement for an arc length, which is 2. So we'll click on arc length, and we're going to go and put that at 2, enter. And now we can start clicking around. You've got to keep going the same way. And the arc length will never be any more than 2. Doesn't that look pretty? It's done. Okay, we're now going to do our plum trees. Now the plum trees are 4 meters in diameter. So we're going to do a circle just over here randomly, 2 meters, a radius of 2. We're going to do a line from the center, just randomly up the page, 90 degrees. Come over here and trim it. Oh, it doesn't want to trim it. Now we're going to do array and array classic. How many of these are there? There's only 6 of these. Change that to 6. Click here, the center point, and I think that's just, select the object, which is that, and go OK. Right. So, we've got to divide this line here. I'm going to delete this now, this one. I'm going to divide this line here by how many? It might. There was a possibility of the second half mark there, but no one's really that interested in that today. By the way, the assignment from last week is not marked. It was just a practice exercise. Just what you might like to know. So here's your line across here. I'm dividing it. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them. So I'm dividing it by 4. So I'm going to go divide, enter, click on here, and then type in 4. Hello, my nodes are funny this week. If I wanted to play with the nodes, I can go format point style, and I can change that to this one, and make that maybe 5. and go OK. Alright, now I'm going to go copy. Where on earth is copy? Copy is that one. Grab all that, enter from there to, I need the node on. Here's the node. We're going to put it on there, 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 the end bit. Now, we'll reduce the node down to format, font style, down to just a dot, and go OK. Now, the node's gone. I can erase this. Now the node is still there. I will be able to see that the node's there by making it a different shape and a different size. But otherwise, yeah. So that's your evenly placed plum trees. You must do it by nodes. I'm now going to put that building, the horse stable, etc., on there. So the way to do that is to make sure you've got the object snap of perpendicular on. No, we haven't covered that one yet. So click on perpendicular and do a random line that comes in from about here down perpendicular to here. Now move that line from the end point to the end point there. Now offset that. And the number we're offsetting is 41. Enter, click on there, and click on there. That is exactly where our driveway starts. Driveway is 6 meters, so we offset again, this time 6 meters. Offset again, 8 meters. Okay, and offset that again, 15 meters. Extend that. Where's the extend? There it is. Extend these two lines here. Offset that one, 16. Trim that off, trim that off, trim that off, trim that off. Oh, and trim those two lines there off as well. And erase those two lines there and there. And we've done the horse stable. And now, using that same technique, we're going to do the farmhouse. So I'm going to do a line that comes up here and it's perpendicular to there. I'm going to move that from the end point to the end point. I'm going to offset 42. And I'm going to offset 15. We're keeping up so far. Okay, I'm going to offset that by 13. Oh, that was 15 again, it should have been 13. Offset 13. and then offset 22. And now if that's 13, that's 29. We need to offset another 16. So offset 16. Oh, it's 15 and 29. So it's offset 14. Offset up top and the bottom 14. On here. Now we go to trim. There's the farmhouse, there's the horse stable, all done by perpendicular and by trimming. Okay? Not quite sure what's going on here. I think these are random lines that I had on there. I'm just going to delete them. We've also done this, which leaves us now with one more thing to do, and that's the horse trough. And we need to put the coordinates in here where it says trough. Okay? Any suggestions? Wonderful opportunity to make yourself a half a mark for assignment 3. Any suggestions? By the way, the half mark is put into your accuracy. So the accuracy is usually out of 5 or 6 or 7 or something. And I'll probably write in a little box the comment section, question in class. Any suggestions on how to do the horse drop? Here it is. Any thoughts? There's no such thing as a dumb answer. Just a dumb teacher. Anybody want to make a suggestion?
Circle and hatch.
Thank you for doing that. You're close. I say thank you because you can only have half a mark max. The young lady at the front is 50% right. She said a circle and a hatch. Not quite sure why she said a hatch. I think she quite likes the hatch command. Two circles. How does that work? Let's see. One circle will be, so I'm going to do one circle from here, which is 44.33. And I'm going to do another circle from here, which is 51.32. And the intersection of those circles is 2 points. I'd suggest it's that one, it's more closer to the left. So I can now do a line from the end. I better put these onto a layer that's not dashed, eh? Let's put them on lot numbers. Okay, so the two circles has given me 2 points. It's obviously going to be this one over here, and it's 6 meters in diameter. So I'm going to do a circle from here. Well, we need intersection on. So we do a circle from here and we'll make that 6. No, it'll be 3, because that's the diameter. All right? Now I want to see your nodes frozen and left on the drawing, or left on the drawing very small. And I want to see these circles left on the drawing, but frozen as well. So a good layer to do everything on is a layer called construction, because you can just freeze that layer and all your construction stuff goes into the background. And then I'll come along and I'll thaw it, and I'll be able to see your workings, which is really important to me. By the way, that's exactly how ships can see. Ships used to do navigation in the old days by doing a bearing at a distance to 2 points on the land, or to 2 different other ships as well. The famous story in World War something or other, when there was a ship that could see the bearings on a German ship, and he told him, "I'm getting close to you. If you don't move out of the road, we're going to crash." He said, "Oh, if you don't move now, I'm going to have to shoot you." And the German ship said, "No, you won't shoot me." And he said, "Why?" He says, "Because I'm a lighthouse." So, which was logical not to shoot the lighthouse, right? And obviously he's heading towards land. But anyway, all that aside, if you've got 2 points of reference, you can work out where you are from two things that aren't moving. It's harder if the things are moving. Makes it a difficult equation. So hatching, when you're hatching something like the farmhouse over here, first of all, look at the instructions. Voice go. First of all, look in the instructions. So let's have a quick squiz at the instructions and see if there's any of the hatch styles. Or are they going to make you find the hatch styles? No, they're not going to give you the hatch styles. That's a bit mean. That's very mean. Okay, well, I'm going to give it to you because you're my student, so why not? Okay, let's have a go at trying to do the right hatch style. So I'm going to go hatch over here, and also type hatch, and I'm going to go look for it, and I'm pretty sure it's this herringbone one. I'm going to go OK, and I'm going to go add pick point. Now, if you put the farmhouse word on there first, it's going to come out around the farmhouse. I click on there and go enter, and OK. But the scale's not right, so I'm going to click on that, right click, properties, change the scale, maybe change it to 10. No, maybe change it to 0.1. Well, that's getting better. 0.05. Not quite. 0.01. Well, that's too many. 0.02. It's not far off, is it? 0.03. That looks at. Okay, so anyone that was watching just here got a massive clue on what hatch you make there. Okay? So what Ingrid's wanting you to do with this assignment is to go hatch and go to the double dots over here and try and find the one that best matches. And then when you find the one that best matches, she wants you to change the scales until you get the scale right on it. Alright? Now sometimes you have to change the angle as well. Right. Okay, so the other thing I see there is a stables row. Now in order to do that row, we go offset by 14 and 14. You'll notice you get a funny intersection like that, so we need to trim it. And I'm not sure if we've done an aligned dimension yet, so I'm going to show you how to do an aligned dimension. You go dimension and go aligned, which means on an angle, and click anywhere here, and you have to go perpendicular to that. And there we are, that's an aligned dimension. I'll do one here, dimension, aligned, click there, and then we need perpendicular on, and you come in there on perpendicular, and that'll be it. So that's how you do an aligned dimension, and that's how you do the offset for that row. Now we do zoom in when we're marking, and do our best to try and find where you've forgotten to trim things off. We do zoom in to see that there's no text behind the word farmhouse. It's gone around it. And we do go click on here and go properties, and it will tell us the arc length and exactly what the arc length is. So it's not actually there at the moment. There it is, arc length 2. So we will be checking that, so make sure you do see that when you do it. How do we know the trough, the one we've put here? How do we know exactly what the coordinates are? Well, we just type in, well, there's lots of ways to do it. We can do a line from there and list the line, or we can type in ID and click on that point, and it gives you the two numbers down there. Now, you're very lucky because the Y values are always starting with 7 and the X values are starting with 5, so you'll know which one to put first on that table. Where it gets very confusing is when both the values start with a number or are close to the same number as to what they are, but you're okay there. So you can go Control C on that, and where the word trough is, you can go Control V, and that one there you can go cut, and that will go to the right hand side, and that will go in here, and that will go there, and that will be your numbers. How about that? Now, before you start going, oh, that's good, Roger's given you the answer. No, he hasn't, because you've got different dimensions for A, and you've got different dimensions coming up next week for B. So you'll all have a slightly different number to me for quite a few of the different points around. For example, F7 is going to be in a different position, so when you do your circle, it's going to be intersecting in a slightly different position. Okay? Now, it's very important to remember that when you're pointing at something, that's why I've left all the arrows off that drawing, because when you're pointing at something, it's really important to make sure that you start it in the right place. So, Roger is a great, you're filming this, aren't you? You better take that out. A teacher, okay? Now, if you're pointing at him up there, you start here, and your arrow goes up there. If you're pointing him down here, you start there, and the arrow goes down. Okay? You better put here sometimes, right? So that one would start there and go down. That one would start there and go up. Now that's wrong now because I've added an extra layer of text, so that would start there and go there. These have to be exactly the same length, and we sometimes check them just by doing a dimension on them. Easiest way to make them the same length is go copy, 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 and click on that and move the arrow, right? And then the length will be the same. So you'll find that that's standard throughout New Zealand, Australia, England, no matter where you go around the world. Okay, so you take that with you when you do your OE or get a job in London or something, or whatever you end up doing in life. It should be the same all around the place. And if you remember that, it does make your drawing look very professional. And you know what? It takes no more time to do it properly than it does to do it wrong. I see some students that are just very sloppy. They'll just put that any old where, doesn't matter, there'll do, and they carry on around the drawing. It really doesn't take much time. If I blew that up, you would have the letter S, and that would start about that far away from it and head on down, okay? So there's a small gap there, and this should be exactly halfway on the letter that you start on. Not down here, and not up there. Always exactly halfway on that letter. Now I'm not going to measure the halfway to a point where I don't get that sort of anal with it, or I might as well go to the nut farm. I just want it to look reasonably good and reasonably. Same with these. I don't tend to. I know Ingrid does. She will actually measure that, but I tend to do it by eye. If it looks very similar, that's fine. But if you've gone and done another one that's out here, it just looks odd, doesn't it? You know, it just doesn't look balanced or like you've been doing it professionally. Yeah. And it's the same with lining up the text when you're doing your notes and everything. Engineers are generally boring people. I've been pretty boring for the last 30, 40 years of my life. But the thing is, we are the ones that they rely on to make the buildings stand up and not fall down. Architects are the ones that make things look pretty. All right, so they're using that side of the brain, and they are allowed to use squiggly lines when they're doing their arrows and text all lowercase and all over the place because it looks pretty like the buildings, right? So yeah, if you want to go to that side, that's fine. Get a job as an architect, you get other studies, but we tend to be a little bit more army and regimented about it. We do capital letters only, and we do lining up everything neatly and tidily. And just like when our university engineers do the calculations for a building, whether it's going to stand up or not, you know, they're not going to compromise on their numbers. That's what they've come up with. You put that size beams in, that's it, you know. It's been, I went to a conference in Vegas with engineers and architects with Revit, the modelling program, which you'll all end up probably having a go at some point in your life. And they had one simple thing that they wanted to do. They wanted to get all the architects and engineers together so they agreed on something in a building. And what they wanted was the architect to leave a beams base, and the engineer has to design it within those parameters. So the architect says, yep, I can do a building, but all my beams, I'll just leave a square or a rectangle, and you engineers, you just design it away, whatever you like, and I'll cover that up. Well, the engineers were absolutely ropeable about the whole thing. They says, you can't determine that for us, because that's part of our calculations. And they said, we want to be doing the calculations first before you design the building. So you had all this animosity going on inside. And in the end, they decided, nah, okay, we're going to have a package called Revit Structural and Revit Architectural. So they still can't get their heads together. So yeah, I found that extremely interesting. I was also in one of the first AutoCAD meetings here at Unitec back in the late 80s, 89, and it was quite new in New Zealand. And we had a whole room full of architects and engineers, and they said, right, let's come up with some standards for New Zealand. Be the first country to do it, like layer names. Let's make some standard ones up. It took probably under 10 minutes, and they were all arguing, and most of them stormed out. It never ever happened. So it's fair, as true as I'm standing here, there's a whole lecture theatre full of us, and all they wanted to come up with some things that that everyone could say, yeah, that's a New Zealand standard. So yeah, architects, engineers have been sort of crunching together for years on things. The other thing if you end up becoming a civil engineer, which is what this drawing here is, civil site, topo, that sort of thing, you're going to also rub against architects quite a bit, because you're having to do road designs around buildings. You're having to do the drainage. You all know how important the drainage is with all the flooding that's happened around the place. And as an engineer, actually at your level of engineering, you're doing quite complicated drainage designs to be signed off. You actually dictate a lot of things to the architects, and they don't like it. They will say, no, we want to put a door there. We don't want a great big downpipe coming down and take the water away. We don't care about that. We want a door there. But that's not what happens. In reality, you say, no, that's the place we've decided where the downpipe's going to be. So you do get a lot of that happening. The other thing, so you've got roads, you've got all your services coming in. Architects are always wanting to put things or hide things. They're wanting to hide electrical things and boxes and what have you. And yeah, it's a challenge. It's one of the biggest challenges of the lot. Often the architects are the ones that have won the job, so they're dishing out the money. So the engineers are very nice to them before they get their money, and then it all changes after that. Yeah. So what you need to do in summary is have a look back on the video, not the bit where I'm slagging off architects. The video where I'm talking sense and drawing drawings. I did those first couple of lines, remember? Have a look at that. Remember, some of them might still be back bearings, so if something goes the wrong way, that's probably what the story is. So you move the line. Do your traverse. Once you've got your traverse in place, we find a lot of that stuff I showed you today was really quite easy to draw. And your viewport, if you're happy with where it is, right click on it and lock it. It says viewport lock. Okay? And then it won't ever be a problem for you. Only that when you start putting this in, you might have to move it along a wee bit more. that's just me mucking with your brain because I want to see you fiddle with your viewport to get things into the right place. Because next semester it gets quite a bit harder, and if you remember some of the things you've done, it's not so bad. Okay. What else was I going to say? Don't forget the Wednesday class. I don't know how many of you are turning up to that, but I believe that there's quite a few students. Is it the Wednesday class? No, there's a lab for this. Is it not Wednesday? Is it Tuesday? What day is your extra class? You got? Tuesday. Yeah, don't forget that class, because the past students are more than happy to give you a hand with anything that you're struggling with. And keep an eye out. In about a week's time, I'll be putting up, or Ingrid and I will be putting up some practice tests, so you can have a go at getting quicker and quicker at doing that. If you can do the complete traverse in about 15 minutes, that's about when you're getting fast enough to finish to do a really good test. All right? Okay. Has there anyone got any specific questions they'd like before I finish demonstrating and stuff? Okay. In terms of my device just restarted on me, so that was good timing. So the marks will be